Donald Trump being president-elect is already starting to change the calibration of the world.
Joe, our country is being destroyed as you and I sit up here and waste a lot of time on this debate.
The Democrats should have a look at themselves, even before getting to the Kamala disaster, and say, what were they doing? What were they thinking? What's wrong with this party?
You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that, otherwise I'm speaking.
Well, I mean, you just have to remind yourself that only a few months back, the Democrats were all trying to pretend that this was a president on peak form who had another 4 and a bit years left in him.
Incredibly sharp, incredibly probing.
He is sharp. He is on top of things.
There is nothing to these challenges, these suggestions that somehow he's not sharp and he's not capable.
We see Joe Biden up close. We know how attuned he is to the issue.
And you're going to see how smart he is and the experience he has.
I say his age is an asset.
Aha! He's wise.
Yes, he's wise. He has wisdom. He has experience.
Things have moved very fast in the past few months. It should be a reminder of just how foolish the Democrat Party seem to think the American public are. Why do they think that people couldn't see this? Why do they think that we can't see it now? Why did papers like the New York Times hide this from the American public? Why did Kamala Harris hide it from the American public? Why did Nancy Pelosi, Dr. Jill Biden, Chuck Schumer, and all the rest of them try to hide this from the general public? This is a political party that thought that they could run this guy again. It's laughable and tragic.
There hasn't been a great deal of accountability for all of that deception, aside from the election result.
He's the worst president in the history of our country. He's destroyed our country.
Donald Trump's red wave is complete. He has secured the presidency with the largest margin for a Republican in 36 years, has taken control of the Senate and the House, and won the popular vote with the biggest margin ever for a Republican, clinching every single swing state.
How do you think Trump 2.0 will be different to his first term?
Douglas Murray met Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago on the election night.
That snap was taken in Mar-a-Lago on the night of the election, where I was there, and it was at the convention center when he gave his victory speech.
Thank you very much. Wow.
You know, it's early days. The transition is taking place. Early appointments have already been announced. Some more are imminent. And it's clear, I think, several things already. One is that Trump and Trump's team have said for a long time, you know, that they wanted to come in with, first of all, with a resounding victory. They wanted not only to secure a victory, but such a decisive victory that it would include the popular vote. You know, I thought, well, sure, you know, everybody would like that. But the fact that they actually achieved it is remarkable. And there's several very important things about that. One is it gives Donald Trump an extraordinarily clear and clean mandate. The second thing is that the Democrats can play none of the games about, well, the Electoral College this, the popular vote that. No, he got all of it. And that should cause some serious time for reflection in the Democrat Party. In the 2016 to 20 administration, you know, there was a lot of firing, a lot of hiring. By the way, even that's different from President Joe Biden, who never fired anyone.
This guy hasn't fired anybody. He never fires. He should have fired every military man that was involved with the Afghanistan horror show, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. He didn't fire. Did you fire anybody? Did you fire anybody that's on the border, that's allowed us to have the worst border in the history of the world? Did anybody get fired for allowing 18 million people, many from prisons, many from mental institutions? Did you fire anybody that allowed our country to be destroyed?
Douglas Murray delves deeper into the political landscape, contrasting the potential dynamics of a second Trump term with his first. Murray argues that Trump's initial presidency was marred by internal sabotage, with a cabinet and staff that included individuals he describes as traitors, people who undermined Trump's agenda and credibility from within. Trump now is extremely deliberate in selecting his inner circle, ensuring only loyalists, seasoned professionals, and those fully aligned with his vision make it into his cabinet. These individuals would not only bring experience, but also a clear and unified mandate to execute Trump's policies without internal disruption.
But there was a lot of, everyone's aware there was a lot of upheaval in the first term. I think there's a very clear desire to make sure that's not the case this time. And they're getting people into positions who have not just experience, but who have a very clear mandate themselves. I mean, getting people like Congresswoman Elise Stefanik into the United Nations job, Congressman Tim Walz also. You know, this is a very serious administration that's being put together with some very distinguished figures in it already. And so I think the main thing is just that thing, not just of some continuity, but of a sort of an intent to have a calmness in the administration this time that was sometimes missing last time. There's going to be no sort of recruiting of people who aren't Trump loyalists. You know, Trump has had so many people since his last administration who have shot him in the back and the front, metaphorically speaking, of course. And he obviously doesn't want any more of that. The sort of, you know, the Kellys and others who said things that he completely disputes about him. It's clear they don't want that kind of roller coaster anymore. And so I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see the more appointments that come in the coming days.
Douglas Murray emphasizes that even as president-elect, Donald Trump is already shaping foreign policy and recalibrating the global landscape. According to Murray, Trump isn't waiting for Inauguration Day. He's actively setting the tone for international relations and signaling his priorities.
Donald Trump being president-elect is already starting to change the calibration of the world. You know, he is somebody who understood and has understood for years the Chinese Communist Party as the main strategic competitor to the United States. And he realized that Americans had, to a great extent, been taken for a ride in trade terms for years. He's the only president, I think, who's in a position to actually do something about that. He says he wants to bring about a swift end to the Ukraine conflict. As I said, we'll see about that. But there's a lot of opportunity and potential there. The Middle East is where I think he's going to have the biggest impact, because the Ayatollahs in Iran were being throttled by him economically when he was last in office. And I would hope that he would start to do that again, because, of course, we've seen in the last year in particular what happens when the revolutionary Islamic government of Iran is rich. It exports terror and colonialism across the region. We have seen this axis that has come together in Joe Biden's time in office, which is the, for want of a better abbreviation, the Russia, China, North Korea, Iran axis. And it's going to be very important to pull that apart. China will be the one that's most important to pull apart from Russia. It's relatively easy to pull people away from Iran when people realize that the Ayatollahs will become the pariahs that they should always have been. But I'd like to think, putting a positive spin on it, is that one of them is that some of the Democrats and others have actually started to get the message. Maybe we shouldn't call the public garbage. Maybe when Donald Trump wins the popular vote, it's not enough to call anyone who has ever supported him a Nazi. I think it's really important. I say this, that the Democrats who ever want to get back into office again have to listen to this result and realize it wasn't the public that was wrong.
Do you agree with Douglas Murray's viewpoints? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights and discussions.